Hello children, welcome to the Bridge Course Digital Classes. Children, can you tell me who takes all the important decisions related to our country? Yes, it's the government. And from when do we have started forming the government? Yes, we started forming the government after getting the independence in the year 1947. So children, what is the mode of making our government? Yes, it is through the elections. So before government, children, who was ruling our country? Yes, it was the Britishers. And who was ruling our country before Britishers? Yes, there were number of kings and rulers who were ruling our country. So children, here I will be showing you the names of few rulers who were ruling our country. It was Mauryan Empire, which was followed by Satavahanas, then Ikshvakus, then Kushans, Guptas, Gurujara Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas, Palas, Cholas, Chahamanas or Chauhans, the Kakathiyas and the kings of Vijayanagara. So these are some of the rulers who were ruling our country. And among all these children, there are two rulers who were ruling towards the south of India, and they are the Kakathiyas and Vijayanagaras. So children, today we will be learning about the Kakatiya rulers and the rulers of Vijayanagara. At the end of this topic, you will be able to explain about Nayankara system. You will be able to suggest some measures for the eradication of gender discrimination. You will be able to locate the state in which Warangal is located, Karnataka and river Tungabhadra. You will be writing a short note on the administrative system of Vijayanagara rulers, and you will be writing the qualities of Sri Krishna Deva Raya that made him a great ruler. So children, we will begin our session with the Kakatiya rulers. In the olden days, the main target of the kings was the expansion of their kingdom. And as and how their kingdoms get expanded, it will be very difficult for them to look after the whole kingdom. So that's the reason they were taking the help of their ministers in some administrative affairs. The early members of the dynasties began their career as a warriors and samantas of Rashtrakuta and Chalukya kings who were ruling in Karnataka. That means there were two dynasties which were ruling in Karnataka, that is Rashtrakuta and Chalukyas, and these people were also busy expanding their kingdoms. So it was not possible for them to look after the whole kingdom. So they divided their kingdom into small parts, and they were having some warriors and some samantas who were helping them in the administrative affairs, and they were called as the Rattadis. Rattadis are the village heads, and they were having some military skills, and because of these military skills they became the army chiefs, samans, etc. And these people were allowed to maintain a small army, and they will be helping the kings in the administrative affairs as well. But in a short period of time, these samants and these warriors have become so popular that the people of that particular region started following the rules which are made by them, because all the important decisions were taken by them only, and the people were not having any direct contact with the kings. So gradually they became so powerful that they gained control over a place called as Anmakonda in Telangana, and the Kakatiyas emerged as an independent rulers after the fall of the Western Chalukyas. So likewise, the Kakatiyas, they were first the subordinates of the Chalukyas, later they became the rulers. The first ruler of this Kakatiya dynasty was Rudradeva. He ruled from 1158 to 1195 Common Era, and as and how he became the king, he shifted his capital from Anmakonda, which is presently known as Hanumakonda, to Orugallu, that is Warangal. And as and how they were making the new capital, they laid out the plan in such a way that with the increase in the population, all the people can be easily accommodated in the city. And at the same time, all the important headquarters will be there in the capital itself. Because if the other rulers come to meet them, or if the traders visit their kingdom, it is the capital only which will be attracting the traders and rulers. So they have laid out the plan in such a way that it will be the most attractive one. And at the same time, they give a lot of importance to the safety of the people. For that purpose, they constructed a big fort. And in those days, children, the main occupation of the people was agriculture. And for doing the agriculture, they need a lot of water. So to store the water, they have constructed many tanks. And at the same time, they constructed many temples. And one among such temples is the 1,000-pillar temple, which is located in Anmakonda, that is Hanmakonda. The speciality of this temple is that it is having 1,000 pillars. Now children, you will be wondering why they are giving more importance to the construction of temples. Children, nowadays we have many points of entertainment. We go to shopping malls, we go to theatres for the entertainment purpose. But in the olden days, the temples were a kind of a social hub. That means the people used to go there not only to worship the gods but also to meet others. All the important meetings and the decisions related to the villages were taken in the temples, like how the festivals are to be celebrated, and also the matrimonial alliances were also taken place in the temples itself. So it was a kind of a social hub wherein all the people will meet, and that's the reason they have constructed so many temples, and they gave a lot of importance to the construction of temples. And among those Kakatiya rulers, a very famous one is a Rudramma Devi. Yes, Rudramma Devi, a woman ruler from South India. She was a powerful and successful ruler who impressed one and all with her abilities. She was ruling from Orugullu, that is the modern Warangal, and which belonged to their family, that is the Kakatiya family. A famous traveller from Italy called Marco Polo visited Rudramma Devi kingdom and said that she was fearless, dressed herself like a man, and rode horses with ease. Though she was having all the qualities of men children, she was as compassionate as women also. And Rudramma Devi was known as Rudradeva Maharaja. This is known to us with the inscriptions which you find in the temples which are constructed in the Warangal. Now children, these are the times when the society was a male dominant. Male dominant in sense, a lot of importance was given to the male, and all the important decisions related to the kingdom or related to the family was taken by the males. Males were considered as the head of the family. So it was very difficult for Rudramma Devi to rule during those times, being a woman. So now let us discuss about the problems faced by Rudramma Devi for being a woman. Her nobles did not like to be ruled by a woman, and she faced the opposition of many important chiefs who had been under her father. But Rudramma Devi succeeded in subduing them. She faced a lot of problems. Being a woman, that means the people used to disrespect her orders, they never used to listen to her, they never rely upon the decisions which were taken by her, because she was a woman. Rudramma and her grandson Pratap Rudra faced many revolts from their ministers and from their nobles also. Among those nobles was a Kayast Ambadev, one of her subordinates, who constantly revolted against her. And in the Chandupatla war in Nalgonda district, Rudramma Devi lost her life. So these are some of the problems, children, which was faced by Rudramma Devi for being a woman. Now this was about the rulers of Kakatiyas. Now let us learn about their administrative system. Their administrative system was called as Nayankara system. Rudramma Devi and Pratap Rudra encouraged several skilled warriors who were not from any powerful family but were very loyal to the king and the queen. They gave them high positions and the title of Nayakas. They were given the authority over several villages from where they could collect taxes. These villages were called their Nayankara. Each Nayaka had to maintain a stipulated amount of army from the income they got from their Nayankara for the service of the king. But they did not keep these villages permanently, as they could be transferred at the will of the king to a new palace. Now children, in the olden days, the mistake which was done by the earlier rulers for keeping their subordinates as a permanent one in a particular kingdom has led to the downfall of the kingdom. And that's the reason Kakatiya rulers did not do the same thing. They did not allow any of their subordinate to remain in the place for a permanent period of time. They kept them transferring from one place to another place so that their power can be maintained in that particular place as well. And these subordinates will not become the more powerful than the kings. These Nayakas depended upon the queen or the king, and they remained loyal to them. They were also probably used to subdue the rebellious chief. And this system of administration is called as Nayankara system. Now children, this was about the administrative system of Kakatiyas. Now let us learn about what are the steps taken by them to encourage the agriculture and trade. In those days, the main occupation of the people was agriculture and trade. So now let us see what are the steps that are taken by the Kakatiya rulers for the encouragement to agriculture and trade. The Kakatiyas brought large tracts of land under cultivation by building tanks and digging wells. The main purpose of building the tanks and digging wells is the preservation of water. For agriculture, we need more of water, and for the preservation of water, they were constructing tanks and digging wells. Apart from the members of the royal family, they also invited the other feudal families, that is the landlords, and the rich sections of the societies such as merchants and artisans to participate in expanding the agriculture through the construction of tanks. They were inviting other sections of the society also. They were encouraging them to give the donations for the construction of tanks. And these enabled the extension of cultivation to the difficult terrains of Telangana and Rayalaseema. These are the region which are very rocky, children. So they needed a lot of water for the preservation and for doing the cultivation. And by promoting the agriculture, they derived income in the form of the taxes and the agricultural produce. So this was about agriculture. Now let us see what they have done for the trading purpose. Warriors, chiefs and kings derived a large portion of their income by taxing the traders, especially those who were engaged in overseas trade from the ports. Overseas in sense, in those days, children, the people were coming from the distant lands to sell their goods in our country. And at the same time, our traders were also going to the distant lands for selling our goods. So these people used to collect the taxes from the people who are coming from the other country and our people who are going to the other country. By this way, they were collecting the taxes and increasing their revenue. Now this was about the encouragement to agriculture and trade. And at the same time, children, they gave a lot of importance to the construction of the temples. The Kakatiyas extensively patronized the temples by donating to them. As told earlier, children, temples were considered as a social hub for the people, and that's the reason they gave a lot of importance for the construction of temples. Not only they, some women members of the royal family like Muppamamba and Mailamma, they also gave some land grants. That means donations of land were given for the construction of temples. And along with these women members of the royal family, some women of the rich sections of the society, they also gifted the lands, tanks, cash, kettle, jewelry, etc. to the temples and Brahmins. That means a lot of donation was done for the construction of temples and for giving it to the Brahmins also. In spite of having such a royalty in the Kakatiya rulers, but the end has to come. Now let us learn about the end of the Kakatiya rulers. Let us see how this kingdom has come to an end. It has come to an end around 1190 Common Era. It was during a period when a new kingdom was established in Delhi. These new kings were called as Delhi Sultans, and they have come from Turkestan. They had a powerful army and were able to defeat most of the kings of the North India. That means they started conquering India from the north and slowly they proceeded towards the south of India, which is called as the Deccan. And among those sultans, there was one sultan named Muhammad bin Tughlaq who was able to defeat Kakatiya Prataprudra in 1323 Common Era. So children, till now we learnt about the warriors and chiefs who had established control over villages and how the Kakatiyas tried to bring them under their control and build a kingdom. The efforts of the Kakatiyas ended with the Delhi Sultans conquered Warangal, but soon another kingdom was built by a family of warriors who laid the foundations of a large empire which is called as the Vijayanagara in Karnataka. Vijayanagara, the name itself is self-explanatory children. It means the city of victory. It was located on the banks of Tungabhadra river in Karnataka. According to history, it was founded by two brothers named Harihara Raya and Bukka Raya around 1336 Common Era with the blessings of a sage named Vidyaranya. And the kings of Vijayanagara worshipped Sri Virupaksha, that is Lord Shiva. And the Vijayanagara Empire lasted for above 300 years, though it was not ruled by the kings of the same family. Children, Harihara Raya and Bukka Raya belonged to the Sangama dynasty, and this Vijayanagara Empire was ruled for 300 years. But it was not by Sangama dynasty. There were many other dynasties who ruled Vijayanagara. Now let us learn about the other dynasties that ruled. After the family of Harihara Raya and Bukka Raya of Sangama dynasty, Saluva, Tuluva and Arividu families ruled the empire one after the other. Some of those kings spoke the language Kannada, but Sri Krishnadeva Raya gave due importance to Telugu language. So this was about the rulers, children. Now let us learn about the administrative system of the Vijayanagara rulers. The administrative system was mostly carried out by the armies and the military leaders. Vijayanagara rulers invested a lot of money in building their military power. They believed that if their armies and military are powerful, then the people will be scared of them and they can be the most powerful one. And they imported a large number of horses from Arabia and Iran, which came in ships to their ports on the west coast. They recruited a large army and built many strong forts. For the safety of the people, they built many strong forts. And in those days, guns and cannons had been newly introduced, and the Vijayanagara kings started using guns and cannons in their forces, hence making them more powerful. And the combination of the firearms and the cavalry, that is horse riders, the soldiers which are riding the horse, made them one of the most powerful armies in India. So now children, let us learn about the administrative system which was taken up with the help of the Amar Nayakas. The entire kingdom was actually controlled and administered by the commanders of these armies. The captains mentioned here were the Nayakas. These Nayakas held Amara the revenue assignments, that is, they were given charge of small villages and cities whose revenue they could collect and use. They had an obligation to maintain a certain number of troops for keeping the revenue of such assignments. They also administered the areas under their control, and they had judicial powers too. That means the power to judge the criminals and give the punishments. So these are some of the subordinates of the Vijayanagara rulers who were helping the kings in the administrative affairs. Among those Vijayanagara rulers, there was one famous ruler and his name is Krishnadeva Raya. Now let us learn about the famous ruler of Vijayanagara, that is Sri Krishnadeva Raya. Krishnadeva Raya ruled from 1509 Common Era to 1529 Common Era. He was a great general who led the Vijayanagara armies successfully against the Bahmani sultans and also against the Gajapatis of Odisha. He also subdued several chiefs who had revolted in Karnataka, Andhra and Tamil regions. These gave him control over the entire region on the south of river Krishna and especially the control over the ports of eastern coast. During his period, the Portuguese had established their power over some ports of western coast like Goa. Krishnadevaraya established friendly relations with them in order to get exclusive supply of horses and firearms from them, and he also employed Portuguese troops in his war. Every year on the Vijayadashmi day, the king organized elaborate festivities and worship which concluded with a massive parade of his armies. On these days, all the chiefs and Amarnayakas of the empire brought their tributes to the king. Tributes in sense gifts, children. They will be collecting the gifts, that is some precious items, some gems, some jewels and some handicrafts which will be made in their areas, and they will bring it to the king in the form of the gift, and that is called as a tribute. And Krishnadevaraya paid special attention to the temples of his kingdom, and he personally visited many of them like Tirupati, Srisailam and Ahobilam. Tirupati is a temple of Lord Sri Venkateshwara Swami. Srisailam is the temple of Lord Shiva, and Ahobilam is the temple of Lord Sri Narasimha Swami. He also donated to a large number of temples. Like Kakathiya rulers, they were also giving a lot of importance for the construction of temples because it was considered as a social hub, and that's the reason they were giving a lot of donations to the large number of temples. Krishnadevaraya's inscriptions state that he had distributed the great treasure gained in his successful wars to all the major temples of southern India. Whenever he was conquering the kingdom and he will be getting some treasure of that kingdom, he used to transfer that treasure to the development of the temples, and this is inscribed on the walls of the temples which is constructed by him. He also built some beautiful temples in Vijayanagara city, and towering temple gateways which are called as Raya Gopuram were built in many of these temples in his honor. Apart from being a great ruler and a great administrator, Krishnadevaraya was also a patron of Telugu literature. That means he has a lot of contribution to the Telugu literature, and he was very fond of Telugu language. He composed the poetic work called Amyukta Malyada on the life of Andal, the Tamil Bhakta poetess. His court was adorned by 8 poets which are known as Ashtadigajas. And the name of these 8 Ashtadigajas are Alasani Peddanna, Mukku Timmanna, Durjati, Ramaraja Bhushana, Tenali Ramakrishna, who is very famous for his wit and wisdom, Pingali Surana, Ayalaraju Ramabhadrudu, and Madayagiri Mallanna. So this was about the Vijayanagara rulers. Now let us see the power of Vijayanagara kings grew further during the time of Krishnadevaraya's successors, that is Achyutadevaraya and Alaya Ramaraya. As the Bahmani rulers were unable to fight with the Vijayanagara individually, by 1565 AD, all the 5 Bahmani kingdoms joined together and defeated Ramaraya in a war that has happened as Rakkasi Tangadi and which is known as Talikota War. It was not possible for a single Bahmani ruler to come and fight with Vijayanagara rulers. So that's the reason 5 Bahmani rulers came together and they attacked this Vijayanagara rulers, and finally the kingdom has come to an end. And after waging the war, they looted and destroyed the city of Vijayanagara, and the emperors who succeeded him shifted their capital to Chandragiri near Tirupati. While a part of the empire came under the control of the sultans. The chiefs and the nayakas became independent in other parts. That means the nayakas, the subordinates of the Vijayanagara rulers, they became independent rulers and they declared themselves as the king. And thus came the end of the Vijayanagara rulers. So children, today we learnt about the two great kingdoms that rule the southern part of India, that is the Kakathiyas and the Vijayanagaras. Now let us have a quick recapitulation of what all we learned today. Today we learnt about the establishment of Kakathiyas, their administration style, the famous Kakatiya woman ruler Rudramma Devi, Muslim invades on Orugallu, and then we learnt about the establishment of Vijayanagara kingdom, their administration style, the famous Vijayanagara ruler Sri Krishna Deva Raya, and the downfall of Vijayanagara empire in Talikota war. So I hope the topic is clear to you children. Now based upon our today's topic, here comes your assignment. I am going to give you some questions. Please note down in your notebooks. You have to write about the Nayankara system, that is the administrative style of the Kakatiya rulers, the Nayankara system. You have to suggest some measures for the eradication of gender discrimination. Gender discrimination in sense discrimination between the male and the female members. So you have to suggest some measures to eradicate the discrimination. You have to write a short note on the administrative system of Vijayanagara rulers. You have to write the qualities of Sri Krishna Deva Raya that made him a great ruler. And you have to locate the following on the map of India, that is the state in which Warangal is located. Yes, Warangal is located in our state, that is Telangana. Then you have to locate Karnataka state and river Tungabhadra. Along with these questions children, please practice the worksheets which are published by SIET. You can procure these worksheets from the official website of SIET. So children, I hope the topic is clear to you. Very soon we'll meet you again with another topic. Till then, keep learning. Thank you.